Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. A few days back, prior to the launch of Season 5 here in Warzone and Modern Warfare 3, I was fortunate enough to sit in on a call with a handful of the developers between multiplayer, zombies, and Warzone and talk about some of the major Season 5 updates that you might not have heard about as of right now, or we have new exclusive details that we didn't know prior to Season 5 dropping, largely regarding the mid-season update with Season 5 Reloaded and a few other additional things that you won't find in any blogs or on any other posts or anything. So a handful of exclusive info today with some pretty interesting changes for the near and a little bit more long-term future as well. So first things first, as we do dive into all the exclusive details here, big thank you to my friends over at Activision for allowing me to sit in on these calls so that we can have a bit more of a transparent communication, or line of communication rather, with the devs, and obviously going through me to you guys so we get more info out there. Also, big thank you to you guys for supporting the channel, putting me in the position to actually be recognized enough to be put into these calls and be able to take part in these. Just a general PSA. I know a lot of people are going to say, did you ask about the servers? Did you ask about the anti-cheat, the lag, so on and so forth? Unfortunately, the people from those teams, Ricochet obviously for the anti-cheat, and then Demonware handles all the server stuff, those folks are not on these calls at all, so there is no line of communication with them. Ideally, just them as studios and them as teams themselves will put out more updates in the future regarding that stuff, like how Ricochet occasionally posts on Twitter. Demonware, we don't really get any communication from, unfortunately, but yeah, those kinds of people are not on these calls. It's just studio leads and different department leads from Sledgehammer, Treyarch, Raven, Beanox, High Moon, so on and so forth. But anyways, that out of the way, let's dive into some update details here for the future of Season 5. Obviously, we've got all the launch content out. We know about that stuff by now. They did talk a little bit more on some of the in-season mode updates coming to Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer this season. We've heard a bit about some of these previously, but now we have a few extra details. Fishfection, pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be infected, but the infected are fish skins, so it's kind of interesting there. Paintball is actually going to be a semi-realistic paintball mode. Like, I wrote this down in my notes. Strangely, paintball has a lot more realism effects than other modes. There's going to be like paintball velocity mechanics, so way less velocity on the guns. They are shooting out actual paintballs with splatters. There's going to be safety designs on the operator skin, so like you wouldn't get hit in the eyes or anything. It is a one-shot out, just like in paintball. So a semi-realistic take on Call of Duty X paintball. Kind of an interesting update there. Diffuser destroys coming in season. Then also, they did confirm in this call that cyber attack would be on its way as well. You may recall previously we reported that Sledgehammer would reveal more news about cyber attack closer to Season 5 Reloaded, but they actually talked about it in this call, so we can expect that as well. They also detailed some of the in-season weapon updates a little bit more. As I'm sure you know, we've got two new weapons coming in season, the Spear and then the Torque 35 bow. Now, the Spear is going to be a little bit self-explanatory. Yes, it's going to be used as a melee. You can also throw it and actually go and retrieve it. But what they also detailed is that the Spear, with the sort of power that it carries behind the throw, can actually impale more than one person. It can actually hit up to 3 people at once. So in theory, you could get a triple collat with the Spear throwing it. That would be awesome to see. I don't know how often we're going to see that, but technically you can get collats and potentially even a triple with one throw of the Spear. So that actually gives it a bit more, I don't know, oomph, I guess is a way to describe it. It's going to be interesting to see the clips people can hit with that. And then also the Torque 35, with this you can actually sort of choose your draw strength. So you could quickly rapid fire it if you're not pulling the drawstring all the way back and shoot off shots a little bit quicker, but those are obviously going to be less impactful than a full pullback of the bow, which can actually one-shot headshot in Warzone. If you do the full on like max power pull, there will be an audible cue apparently that says, hey, you're at full power or whatever, and if you hit a headshot with that, it will be a one-shot knock. So maybe a new competitor in the sniper meta coming in season as well. Torque 35 is definitely one to keep an eye on. By the way, as we are going through all the details and updates here, if you are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered, really multiple times a day, with the latest news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. If anything is going on in COD, this is the place to find out about it. So if you want to guarantee you're always up to date and in the know, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Join us on the road to 1 million subs. And if you enjoyed this video, a like rating is always really appreciated. Now, we did get a bit more of a rundown on the zombies updates coming in the Season 5 Reloaded update. Of course, this is the major zombies update and actually the final zombies update for Modern Warfare Zombies. So we are going to see the final story mission revolving around Ravenov and Dr. Jensen there. There's going to be new Ethereum launch pads, which actually help you navigate the more vertical environments, and you can use in-air controls and have like sort of splash damage on landing from these. So that's going to be kind of an interesting gameplay mechanic. They did also detail there will be a new final boss and a final cinematic to go along with this story mission update, and there will be new secrets in the story mission and then also in the new Dark Ether Rift. So they didn't give us any details as to what the final boss, what the cinematic, or what those secrets would be like, but for the Zombies community, there will be a few other additional things to pay attention to in this update. I'd have to imagine some of it's probably going to tie in with Black Ops 6, but of course, for that, we're gonna have to wait and see. Now, the Warzone folks and devs on this call also detailed Season 5 Reloaded updates here as well, including some additional details on Supreme Resurgence. They are changing things around a tad bit here. Keep in mind, this is epic items and higher only. All the weapons that you find on ground loot are gonna be covered with unique camos, so that's always cool. There is a longer respawn timer, but actions do deplete that faster, like looting, getting kills, so on and so forth. There will be an individual reward for getting 1 win in Supreme Resurgence when this ends up dropping, and it's the beans camo, the spilled beans camo. And they said that it's like a hyper realistic beans camo. They showed it to us. They took pictures of beans and they put it on the gun. It looks ridiculous, but hey, it's a free camo. They also are gonna have the new Recon Flyover event. This is actually going to replace the occupation scan, and if you are within the advanced UAV radius, 3 of these fly over, and they actually fly towards the area on the map where the most players are, so it kind of gives you a hint, hey, if you want action, you may want to head over there, and if you're in the radius of these planes flying over, you'll show up on the radar. Also, Ghost does not counter it. The way that they described this was the occupation scan event was all about not moving. You had to stop and prone and wait for that to happen. This event is all about moving. You want to avoid being in that detection radius. They also detailed the elite contracts a little bit more, and honestly, these sound really cool. So you get more cash and elite crates for doing things on a shortened timer. So all these contracts you'll have to complete a little bit quicker. If you do things like the scav, the bounties, so on and so forth, you end up getting some increased rewards like redacted weapons, foresight specialist, or an advanced UAV. So actually a decent incentive to go through and complete these. They're really not all that hard. Like if you do an elite scavenger, that's not difficult whatsoever, and you get some really good rewards out of that. Another cool update coming to Warzone in season is going to be the new PR exfil animation. So if you end up winning a game and you get your personal best in kills for that chapter, which is like the whole game of MW3 or all the entire year of Black Ops 6 or so on and so forth. So it tracks once and resets per game essentially. It'll actually have a custom exfil screen and announcement for you. So in game you win, Graves meets you, hey, good work out there, soldier, yada yada yada, instead of getting like immortal as an accolade, which I always think is pretty cool because I can get my own accolade, or getting, you know, team objectives or whatever. It'll actually say, hey, you got a new PR for kills, 22 kills or whatever. So that's actually a cool thing. You can also see where your teammates are at in terms of their like PR and everything. It actually tracks that in the back end now. So definitely a cool update there. And then to close out this dev call, there was also a bit of a Q&A with some questions that were asked beforehand. And with this, we got a few other additional update details, some short-term, some a bit more long-term as well. So they were asked about the potential of having LTMs available to play in private matches if you were looking to do one of those with some of your friends. Currently not something that's in the pipeline. Private matches is still going to be that more basic gameplay loop. They were also asked about the option to ever stray away from trios for ranked play within Warzone, and basically the way that they described it is that trios is what the mode is built around. Anything is possible, like it's very possible that they do change to duos or change to quads in the future, but they really do like trios from a gameplay loop perspective, so it's more than likely trios is going to be the long-term focus there for ranked on any size map, whether we eventually get to big map ranked, which they still say is just coming later this year, or obviously resurgence ranked like what we have now. They were also asked about the MW2 snipers and if we'd ever see an update in the future to change these from requiring ammo to be one shot. And what they said is that they do have plans to make that change, where all MW2 snipers will be more viable in the overall one shot meta. That's something that's very cool and obviously going to open up things more and more. Of course, the Torque 35 that we talked about earlier, having one-shot potential, seems like there could be a much more open meta for this in the long range in the future. They were also asked about any more options for sniper scopes on things like the Kar98K and whatnot, and they said not as of now, or basically not yet. Yet being the key word. It's quite possible that in the future we do see some more updates there with some additional scope and optic options for some of your long-range snipers. They also detailed some MW2 weapon updates outside of snipers. So as of right now, basically MW2 weapons and MW2 attachments don't get as much attention because their priorities lie with the new weapons and the recommended weapons that they have every single season. That was the transparent way they put it. Hey, there's just not enough time to go through and look at every single attachment or every single gun and balance it accordingly. However, a larger weapon balance is supposedly coming towards the end of the year that has a more universal idea behind it, so that everything will be on a much more balanced, meta space, essentially. So you won't have these significant gaps between some of the MW3 weapons and pretty much all of the MW2 weapons, right? So while we won't see a ton of individual focus on MW2 weapons going forward or MW2 attachments, they do have plans for a more significant universal weapon balancing update at some point in the future. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. Obviously, right now, the meta is largely dominated by a select few MW3 attachments and pretty much all MW3 weapons, with very few MW2 options being viable whatsoever. So could be really cool to see that fully implemented. But that being said, those are all of the new exclusive update details that we have for Warzone and MW3 going forward. And that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always really appreciated. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you can always guarantee you are up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.